Starting with Chapter 5 for the respiratory system. So just a few fun facts about the respiratory system. We breathe 13 pints of air every minute. Yawning provides more oxygen to the lungs, and we have over 300 million alveoli in each pair of our human lungs. So the respiratory system has two major tasks. External respiration is the exchange of air between the body and the outside, and then internal respiration, the transport of oxygen to the cells and removes carbon dioxide. So here's just the function of the respiratory system. So we have inhalation, so air containing oxygen enters the nose or mouth because you can breathe or you can inhale either way through your nose or your mouth. Then it goes to your pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchial tree, and then alveoli. And then when you're breathing out or exhaling, it's basically going the opposite. So start from the bottom. So air containing carbon dioxide leaves the alveoli, then it goes through the bronchial tree, trachea, larynx, pharynx, and then exits through the nose or the mouth. So first objective, pronounce organs and anatomic structures of the respiratory system. So here's a very good picture of your respiratory system. It's probably a little small on your slide, so again, just open your book to view it there. So first of all, I'm just going to go down the organs and anatomic structures of the respiratory system table in your book. I think that's just the easiest thing to do. So first of all, nose, lined with mucous membrane and fine hairs. It acts as a filter to moisten and warm the entering air. Nasal septum, partition, separating the right and left nasal cavities. Paranasal sinuses, air cavities within the cranial bones that open into the nasal cavities. Pharynx, serves as a food and air passageway. Air enters from the nasal cavities and or mouth and passes through the pharynx to the larynx. Food enters the pharynx through the mouth and passes into the esophagus. So your pharynx is also called your throat. Adenoids, lymphoid tissue located on the posterior wall of the nasal cavity, also called your pharyngeal tonsils. And then tonsils, lymphoid tissue located on the lateral wall at the junction of the oral cavity and the oropharynx. Larynx, location of the vocal cords. Air enters from the pharynx, also called your voice box. Epiglottis, flap of cartilage that automatically covers the opening of the larynx and keeps food from re-entering the larynx during swallowing. Trachea, passageway for air to the bronchi from the larynx. Your trachea is also called your windpipe. Bronchus, and then plural is bronchi. One of two branches from the trachea that conducts air into the lungs, which it divides and subdivides. Bronchioles, smallest division of the bronchial tree. Alveoli, and then the singular is alveolus, air sacs at the end of the bronchioles. Oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged through the alveolar walls in the capillaries. Thorax, the chest, the part of the body between the neck and the diaphragm encased by the ribs. Lungs, two sponge-like organs in the thoracic cavity. The right lungs consist of 3 lobes, and the left lung has 2 lobes. Pleura, double-folded serous membrane covering each lung and lining the thoracic cavity, with a small space between called the pleural cavity, which contains serous fluid. Diaphragm, muscular partition that separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. It aids in the breathing process by contracting and pulling air in, then relaxing and pushing air out. And then the mediastinum, space between the lungs. It contains the heart, esophagus, trachea, great blood vessels, and other structures. And that will end this recording.